I heard a rumor that Resident Evil sucked and was likely the worst entry in the series. I've covered all of the main canon, from Wesker's reports up to the CGI movie Resident Evil Degeneration, which takes place just a few months before what you're about to see. Playlist in the description if you're new and want to experience the Resident Evil journey as a beginner and by complete in-universe chronological order. That being said, I think I'm going to be in a good position to form my own opinion about 6. I'll be deciding if I like the story and execution and whether or not I just enjoyed the game. I might be biased because for this one I'm going to have my brother with me again, and we tend to just laugh at everything, but we'll see what happens. Starting out with what's going on in 2013. It scared the shit out of me.
What?
The fuck? God, I was. What?
The beginning?
Yeah, it scared the shit out of me, bro.
Oh, I made it to a save point 15 minutes later.
Proceeding to get shot at by stormtroopers, it's like they're not even trying to hit them. He holds his hand up, indicating to them to stop firing. They comply and give him time to go over to the woman nearby, picking her up and dragging her to safety. All around them is complete chaos, and the helicopter begins to fire at nothing again. It flies over, makes sure that they've made it out okay, and begins to shoot the walls opening up for them to safely make it through. Stumbling in, Leon protects the woman and points his gun at the helicopter as if he's gonna really 1v1 a helo. Or, I don't know, it is him. However, they fly off and Leon helps the woman forward. Her name is Helena. He pronounces it Helena, which is a bit confusing. Like, how do you say this name? Because you have Helen, so Helena, but you also have another girl named Elena, so Helena also makes sense. She tells Leon to go on without her, but as you would expect from Leon, who always seems to get partnered with women, he says, "Don't worry, Helena, your knight in shining armor is here," and he doesn't leave her. Using a steel bar with one hand, he breaks off wooden planks to open the door onward. Looking past the dead guy and out the window, I realized we were in China. Leon is just Mr. Worldwide at this point. He was in Spain, then Eastern Europe the last time we saw him, and now he has taken his work to here. Or his work has taken him here. But when Leon says to Helena, "Let's take a break," she sees something standing behind him, and this startles her. So Leon immediately turns around to see an undead soldier creeping over to him. He tries shooting it in the head, but it doesn't stop it from taking Leon to the ground, forcing a struggle until Leon pops his ult, slipping the soldier's knife out and injecting it into his brain. Threat neutralized, Helena is done with her break and Hunnigan comes up on comms telling Leon to get out of the city. But Leon says there are people there who still need his help, so he's not going to leave. Pushing on through a dark hall, when they come out on the other side, they see pure chaos throughout the entire city. The highway jammed with cars and zombies, smoke and fire all around, and a jet stuck in the building. But they keep moving. Unfortunately, that jet comes crashing down onto a leaking tanker that was on the bridge they're on, causing the integrity of the structure to come crumbling down. So they rush to escape getting crushed, and luckily the BSAA swoops in to save them. But this part doesn't really make sense. For some reason, the soldier jumps out of the helicopter to provide cover fire to zombies that were not even on Leon or Helena. He could have just stayed in the copter and did nothing, or even just shot the zombies from there, but instead, he dies on the imploding bridge as the two jump onto safety. But I guess it's not entirely safe because somebody had shot the pilot, so Leon has to take control. Meanwhile, the dead pilot reanimates and attacks Helena, so Leon, who's already trying to keep the helicopter from crashing, needs to save her. And he does so just in time to scrape by a train. Still, they go slipping into a building, slamming and falling out onto a glass ceiling. Below is a horde of zombies, and above is a structure that is about to stab into them. Luckily though, they manage to dodge in time. Even more so lucky is that they somehow ended up exactly in the building that they were looking for. Before them is a pillar in the center of Umbrella's logo, which is kind of weird because I thought they were trying to save people, but they wanted to come here, so
Back for more?
Now, before we continue, you should know that Resident Evil 6 jumps around the timeline a bit, just like they've been doing with Revelations. So what you just saw happened on June 30th, 2013, but let's go way back into the past to yesterday in Eastern Europe, where Chris is being a typical United States American. Chris.
Another round.
For the eradication of seemingly endless sorrow.
Seems like somebody I knew.
I don't drink anymore, bro.
I wasn't talking about you, but okay. I mean,
Hard to find a good steak around here. Not like back home.
what the hell is this guy?
I don't know.
You played 0 through now.
This guy's new.
Oh, where did he go?
I don't know.
Fill her up.
You've had enough.
Listen, sweetheart. You're here to pour drinks and look pretty.
The fuck?
So how about you shut your mouth?
Yes, sir.
What the shit? There you go.
I bet you get the hell out of my bar.
Chris is acting
It's
real
me.
American.
My game is glitched. My game's totally glitched.
Nowhere to go.
What soldiers are like glitchy getting out? It's fine.
Ej, dama vas je zamolila da odete. I said she asked you to leave.
Bro, this guy punches boulders.
I know, right?
Never thought I'd find Chris Redfield wasting away in a shithole like this.
Who the hell are you?
That's a nice coat.
Piers. Piers Nivens?
It's a bad
Never heard
name.
ya.
Yep. Like
How
that's
about
something else.
this? You heard of this?
What is that?
You really don't remember anything, do you? Bioterrorism.
Bio.
You can't hide from your past, Chris. No matter where you go or what you do.
Who are you? What is this?
Okay. You don't remember me? Well, how about them? Look. I said look! Those were your men. Men who died under your command. You owe it to them to remember, Chris. If you walk away now, then this was all for nothing. Enough! Damn it. 6 months of searching for you. And this is what I find.
These guys are making a total scene, and like everyone else in the bar is just like, eh.
Mind your business. Mind your
Yeah.
business.
It's where you belong.
But the Americans have
Everyone's
their
waiting.
moment.
Everyone.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah,
probably
never
why.
mind. Oh, I
Yo.
see.
We're taking you back, Captain.
Y'all are BSA,
One
eh?
way or another.
I guess so.
They were all in cahoots.
I can't keep running away. I have to face the truth. Accept responsibility. That's the only way I'll ever remember. The only way I'll get my life back.
HQ to Alpha Team. No change to your mission. Suppress the bioterror outbreak while proceeding to point Ace of Spades.
Make our way to the Ace of Spades and find those UN workers.
For those of you wondering if remembering suppressed memories could actually cause pain, like we just saw with Chris, yes, physical pain or strong bodily discomfort while recalling traumatic memories can actually happen in real life. It's not actually unusual in trauma psychology, although it does usually come from stress responses in the body rather than the memory itself causing literal pain. I know it's a bit weird, but the brain often overlaps physical and psychological distress, so think phantom pain, no Metal Gear Solid. Then the question becomes, what exactly did Chris experience? What went down for Chris to turn to the demon in the bottle? Well, there is a mission you'll soon see, which explains all of this. Unfortunately, nothing in this movie explains why we haven't seen Rebecca Chambers or Billy Cohen yet. In fact, are we ever going to see Ark Thompson, Fong Ling, or Sheva again? All these characters Capcom introduces but never reintroduces. Where's Jill? By the way, she's probably dealing with recovery. But Chris is going to have his own psychoanalysis later, so for now we're going to get back to the story. China, next day, Chris, Piers, his team. By the way, I apologize if my brothers and my commentary detracts from the cutscenes. It's only in the beginning half of the game, and we try to keep the interruptions to a minimum, or our reactions to a minimum. Because my wife and I love my wife, don't live in the USA anymore, but my brothers do, there is a time discrepancy, so it's kind of hard nowadays to line up game time together. So that's why I'm saying in the later half of the video, you're probably just going to be able to enjoy cutscenes as normal, because the later half, I just play it by myself. But the BSAA has touched down in China to deal with the biohazard that has been unleashed, and you might be wondering, who is the cause behind all of this? Why are Chris and Leon here fighting? What are they fighting against? There is going to be a video chapter you can jump to called Tony if you want to just get all of those answers right now and then come back here. Or you could just wait till we get there, and it kind of wraps it up later on. I'm not a fan of that kind of storytelling, but I totally understand if you want to know what's going on now and then have that comprehension going into this. This is one problem I already have with Resident Evil 6's storytelling, because you are thrown into this situation with no understanding or motivation. It's so easy to just not care about anything moving forward. So if you're playing this game and you're going through it, you're like, what am I doing? Why am I here? I felt the same way. And this is probably one of the factors that a lot of people consider, a lot of the fans consider, when they notoriously say that they don't like Resident Evil 6. But anyways, Chris and Piers are going to make their way to a specific site of an attack where there are supposedly a bunch of United Nations workers in need of rescue. Descending the building, they destroy boxes, shout out to whomever leaves these and the items inside of them around for us, and they go out the door. The two prepare to face the chaos of the city, guns at the ready, and when they open it up, reporters swarm in front of them, not even caring that they could have poked their faces with bullets. Running past them and the panicking people into a building and being so unserious with my brother.
With the operation as planned.
The two come across what the BSAA identifies as Javo. I'll tell you this right now, these mutated humans are infected with something called the C virus, and I'll dive more into that later, but there are two types of infected I want you to be aware of when it comes to the C virus. The Javo are made through injections of the C, where they get to keep their intelligence and gain intense strength. The other type is going to look more like the zombies that we're used to seeing, which are created through the inhalation of the C virus instead of injections. So one uses a needle, the other you just breathe in. But the Javo, the infected injected, are the ones who are standing in these two soldiers' ways. And the stress from these altercations, seeing the men that he's with right now getting hurt, seemingly puts Chris in a position where he's having visions of his last team dying. However, he presses on. They eventually find the hostages mentioned earlier, but they're attached to some Javo whose bottom halves are basically cockroaches. I don't know what would possess someone to be like, yeah, give me that C virus. I want to be half roach. Like, I get you get powers, or you get like super strength and durability or whatever, but I do not think that that is worth it. After saving the worthless humans, Chris and Piers need to get out of the building because the BSAA is going to drop bombs on it to bring it down.
They started bombing. Guess they don't care that we're still in here.
I'm not.
Nope, because you've already served their immediate needs, so they're done with you. You are disposable. Although it's not smart on their part, because if you have agents who are effective and have a near 100% completion rate for their missions, you would think that as an organization, you might want to make sure that they are properly taken care of, but that just makes too much sense. So, Chris and Piers find their way out of the building, and they jump off right before the missiles connect. When the dust settles, and only the glimmer of fires can be seen, they check to see what remains, and at the sight of the immolated bodies, Chris falls to his knees. Sharp pains of memories jab into his brain. Then Chris looks up to see somebody named Finn. And so what we find out is that 6 months ago, I don't know why Capcom has a banner for 6-month time frames exactly, but like this game in Revelations 2, it was very specific about 6-month time lapses. But 6 months ago on December 24 and 25 in Eastern Europe in Edonia, in a fictional place called Edonia, Chris and Piers were already working together on a mission. Yeah, they already knew each other at this point, or before we saw them at the bar. Chris led their team, and Piers was like his second in command. However, something catastrophic is about to happen, something so terrible that when it does, Chris decides he wants to forget it all. And that is what we saw earlier with Chris drunk in a bar and Piers saying that he was looking for him for the past 6 months. By the way, that's kind of impressive, right? Because the BSAA, with all their experts and resources, could not find Chris Redfield for 6 months. He did not want to be found. But bringing it back to Christmas Eve, Chris gives a speech to all of his men, and it is inspiring enough to make one specific soldier cry. And this is Finn. He gives the rundown as to what the BSAA is even doing in Eastern Europe. The Javo have been unleashed, and the BSAA is here to contain that BOW threat. As they're rolling out, they get immediately attacked, and I realize that RE6 feels more like a Call of Duty or Gears of War game. I mean, think of it like the Fast and Furious series, right? We went from street racing for pink slips to going into outer space to save the world. But yeah, after fending off this gross monster that seems to tower over El Gigante, Chris and Piers get run over by a BSAA armored vehicle before we run into somebody that I did not expect to see. Well, 2 people I did not expect to see, but we'll get to him later. Sherry Birkin. It's crazy, right? We just saw her. She was a little girl, and now she's all grown up working for national security. Man, how time flies. She approaches Chris, who recognizes her name because of his sister, and then she asks Chris, oh, I just realized the post-credit scene from Revelations 2 was referring to this game.
So he's in China now?
However, at this time, we are unable to find
all right.
any connections to the wide-scale terror attacks that occurred.
Well, tell Piers to look after him.
As well as the tragedy that befell the city of Tall Oaks earlier this week.
Piers, China, yeah, that's what Claire was talking about on the phone at the end of that game. Chris says that Claire told him all about Sherry, but Piers interrupts, saying that the man over to the side is a wanted man. Sherry defends him, saying that he is in the custody of the US government and not a threat to anybody. But the man stirs the pot when he says,
unless someone pays me to be.
What did you just say?
Bark, 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 bark.
Well, I think Piers is deaf. But Chris studies this unknown man. He observes him. And when the guy notices, he addresses Chris, but he says nothing. Their conversation gets cut short because a giant monster gets airdropped on them, causing everybody to have to deal with it. But as soon as they do, Chris sets Sherry and the unknown man up with a BSAA helicopter to send them somewhere. But before they go, Chris calls out to him and asks, have we met before? There is something about that man that triggers something within Chris. Pause. But the guy just says, all of you jarheads look the same to me, and he turns around and gets on the airship. Chris wishes them a safe flight, but Piers is wondering, why is he letting them go? So Chris tells him that he is not their mission. Their mission takes them to this city's hall, where once inside, they find what can only be described by Finn as people in cocoons due to their life signatures inside. Hoping to find a lead on who's behind the outbreak here in Europe, everybody splits up. Now, when the plot armor team goes down into this one room, the cocoons would begin to hatch, and out come these armored behemoths. So, because he had punched boulders before, Chris thought that he could break their armor by smashing them with his bare hands. But I guess that only works when Wesker is nearby. Seeing that it was taking too long, he just shoots it, and from there, Team Plot Armor busts into a room and finds a bunch of used vials on the floor. From the shadows, a woman's voice says C-Virus. It's Ada Wong, but she looks different somehow. And the guys don't trust her. They keep their guns trained on her, and she proceeds to tell them that Neo Umbrella, no real relation to the actual Umbrella, is the one behind Javo. The sea virus infected monsters here and 6 months from now in China are all Neo Umbrella's doing. Since she gave them all that information, their guards are lowered and Chris thanks Ada for her cooperation. But then he tells Finn to keep her safe, which is kind of laughable because, Ada does not need anybody to protect her bro. She's taken down tyrants and enormous monsters. Finn isn't going to do anything. If anything, she'll end up protecting him if shove comes to push. However, Chris does show that he doesn't fully trust her yet when he tells Pierce to keep an eye on her. Assuming they've found everything they needed and could, they allow Ada to lead them back to the entrance. Only that is not where she leads them.
Yeah.
The woman, she's gone. Finn!
I don't know what happened. She was here a second ago.
No.
Ada.
Thanks for the escort. Here's something to remember me by.
Okay.
What the fudge?
Not like this!
Cap!
I thought Ada was a good guy.
Girl.
Since when?
I thought Ada was a good girl.
Since when?
Since, I don't know, since Leon and... What the shit? Why does she just do them dirty like that?
Captain, we gotta move!
Damn, bro. No wonder you got flashbacks. Oh, shit.
Now, we gotta go!
Bro, Leon, I don't know, man.
Oh, me too. Oh, me too.
Okay. And Chris is just tanking all of this?
Yeah?
Chris!
So, this explains the trauma, not only the psychological but physical trauma that Chris endured from watching all of his men die at the hands of Ada and from him getting his salad tossed by the armored creature, which, by the way, Chris is getting way too old to be getting pounded like that. I mean, how much more can his body take? I'm 31, and just this morning, I got out of bed and my knee hurt. But this shows why Chris can't remember anything, and also likely chooses to try and not remember the painful memory. But taking it a little bit back to the same day with different names, it is time that we learned who this mystery man is. Well, I mean, when you select the chapter, it says his name is Jake, but when you find out who he really is, it's gonna shock you.
Stuff do anything for you yet? It's supposed to be some kind of energy booster, but I don't feel any different. You know, between me and you, I think we should ask for more money. A lot more. Pretty sure this wasn't part of the contract. But I am willing to renegotiate. gotta sign it with the lady downstairs. Wouldn't recommend it, though.
No question. You've got the antibodies.
Thank you very much. Wait, what?
You could be the key to saving this world, Jake Mueller.
Save myself first. You lose something?
Just my balance. I'm fine. Sherry Birkin, the United States.
Yeah, good for you, but that's not really the time. You coming?
After you.
Doesn't Jake's demeanor and fighting style remind you of a certain white-haired, overpowered, and iconic character? Me too. Dante from Devil May Cry. However, one thing that Jake has that Dante doesn't is the antibodies for the C virus. Imagine if Dante became a zombie though. So while Chris and Piers were handling the BOW, Jake and Sherry were here trying to get out of the country without either Neo Umbrella or the BSAA knowing. The fact that Jake is immune to the virus means that if she can bring him back to the US, the government can do what they did with her and create a vaccine for the C virus. But Sherry can't let Neo Umbrella get him because if they do, they would likely do what's been done before and learn how to create a stronger virus using Jake's antibodies. And when it comes to the BSAA, you already saw, they see him as an enemy because he's a merc working for the anti-government guerrilla group here in Adonia. Jake just didn't know that his guerrilla group was working for Neo Umbrella, who was working to create BOW chaos under everything. But bringing it back, the question then becomes, how does he have the antibodies? Why does Jake, of all the people in the world, have immunity? Because we saw that he takes the C virus infection. He gets the power up without mutating while his, well, I think those were his work associates, transformed. And, you know, as I write this script, I can't help but keep thinking about Chris. Pause. What I mean is that Chris kept looking at Jake like he was a Pop-Tart. I love Pop-Tarts, especially when they've been warmed up in the microwave for like 27 seconds. But the thing about Chris is that I really haven't seen him try to put the Mac down on anybody since I first saw him back in 1998. Meanwhile, Leon has Ada as his heartthrob. The only person I've ever seen Chris fixate on or get intense with is Wesker.
Chris, your body. I want it. Now!
Moving on, Jake and Sherry make their way outside where he would demand payment.
Alright, first things first. I want 200,000 up front, another 200 when this is over. I want BOWs. Those are extra. An additional grand. Each.
I'm not here to hire you.
What? Why are you here?
Your blood.
What, are you the Red Cross or something?
No, listen, those things that attacked us, they were all exposed to a new virus called the C virus. The same strain that you just took a dose of. It didn't affect you because you've got the antibodies. Right now, we're racing against a global bioterrorist attack and we needed a vaccine yesterday. We need you, Jake. We need your blood.
Oh.
$50 million.
What?
Cash.
Yep.
Non-negotiable. That'll get you one pint.
Or the U.S. government just drags your ass to the ground and you never see the light of day again. That's probably why you don't hear from him. Okay.
Smashing heads, getting shot at by a BSAA helicopter, they would run and try to find refuge inside, but what they didn't know was that there was something in here waiting for them.
All right, where to?
What the fuck?
What's the matter? What's the matter?
What in the prototype?
This is a waste of time.
Yeah, no shit.
Sherry's got the right idea.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks for the warning.
Okay, we go with your plan.
So this BOW is called Ustanak, which means rebellion, and he's similar to Nemesis, not just in looks but function. As you saw, he just zeroes in on Jake, and as you will see, this monster is brutally relentless. After saving Sherry by tackling her into another building, they think they've shaken off their pursuer, only to have him coming crash down from the ceiling to continue his chase. But after trying to defeat him with just his bare hands, Jake would see that this wasn't going to work, so he shoots a barrel, dropping a pillar onto the floor, but it sends them careening into the abyss below. Don't worry though, they're completely fine, and it turns out the fall wasn't too far. They did, however, escape the behemoth, for now, where they would make their way over to Chris and Piers. You know what happens from there, and this is one thing I didn't like too much about RE6. A lot of it is literally replaying the same mission sequences over and over again, but through a different person. Normally that would be fine in cases like with Umbrella Chronicles, but RE6 doesn't even change angles, dialogue, or anything. It's just a literal repeat of what was already done to pad game time, to artificially inflate how much content is actually in the game. Like, imagine if there was a YouTuber who just played cutscenes in all of his videos and called it a 1-hour video. Sure, it's a bit different because you get to experience the game in as full as you could without actually having to play the game yourself for one reason or another, but you understand the analogy. I mean, shoot, in that specific instance, if that YouTuber is saving me time and money from having to pay the game or invest time, I would probably hit that subscribe button.
Yes. But there's something I need to run by you. Mr. Mueller is requesting compensation for his cooperation. $50 million.
$50 million? And who you think you kidnapped, Chelsea Clinton?
Yes. Yes, I understand. I'll let him know.
So, we got a deal?
Yes, we have a deal.
Well, that was easy. Oh.
Get a basketball.
By the way, that guy that you're all chummy with back there.
You mean Chris?
That's the one.
What about him?
Forget it.
Looks like Jake isn't the only one thinking about Chris. Ustanak would ride a helicopter, like hang off of it, and fly all the way up here to attack them. But because the not tyrant threw a nade in their copter, they're forced to jump across, I don't even know if this is possible, into another helicopter.
Move now! Hey! What are you waiting for?
Is that even possible?
Then Not Nemesis pulls up, hanging off a different helicopter, to start shooting Jake with the giant machine gun. He misses all of his shots, giving us the opportunity to climb up and start fighting back with our own guns. But this causes everyone to crash, and if it weren't for these parachutes, Jake and Sherry might have been blood in the snow. Actually, scratch that, because as Jake wakes up with Cher on top of him, He immediately notices that she is gushing blood and is incapacitated, barely able to even open her eyes. Jake puts his hand to his chin, contemplating what to do next. She struggles to breathe out an order to pull out the giant shard of metal that's been jabbed into her back. Jake is against it out of fear that she'd quickly bleed out to death, and yet she confidently insists he does, whilst harboring fear in her voice. With not a moment to spare, he yanks it. However, it is deep in her flesh and bones, so he pulls harder, with Sherry voicing out her tormentuous agony until finally the metal is torn from flesh. Blood and guts paint the white beneath them as she groans, but miraculously, her back immediately begins to heal. Sherry is relieved that she's regained mobility and is fully restored, but Jake is astounded, almost angry, demanding to know what he just witnessed. She says it's a long story, and he says that it's her blood, not his, that should be getting tested, to which she says they already did, referring to everything the government did to her because she had the G-virus antibodies within her when Leon and Claire saved her back in RE2. Soon they would find temporary cover inside of a cabin from a snowstorm. Sherry would try to go outside to make contact somehow with the BSAA, but Jake tries to stop her. It's too late though. As soon as she opens the cabin door, an unbelievably powerful gust of cold wind and ice comes slashing through, but Jake, one hand on Sherry's waist and the other on the door, is able to close it, and for a moment, these two have a moment. And with this, they decide to talk.
So, you always been like that? You know, the whole healing thing?
My dad was a scientist. He was working on BOWs when I was exposed. Luckily, I was treated with the vaccine before it was too late. But the virus adjusted and adapted. It's been a part of me ever since.
What happened to your father?
His research killed him. By the time he died, his body had mutated so much, he wasn't even recognizable.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to...
That's all right. Besides, I didn't walk out of it empty-handed.
Well, yeah, you got superpowers.
That's not what I meant. The people who saved me, Leon and Claire, are the closest friends I've ever had.
Claire is that BSAA guy's sister, right?
They risked their lives for me back in Raccoon City. I guess I'm still just trying to live up to their example. Never giving up. No matter the odds.
Speaking of odds... looks like we got some party crashers. This cabin's invitation only.
I wonder if these guys have a book of funny one-liners. I do. Their intruders decide to blow up the wall, compromising their position and causing an avalanche. This causes Jake and Sherry to have to take their adversaries' snowmobiles and escape the wave of ice crashing towards them. They race down the mountain, jumping and hopping off ledges like snow bunnies, until they find a hole to get into. It turns out that these were mines, and somehow Jake's nemesis was here too.
This mother... Is he aura farming right now?
Not that serious.
Jesus Christ. What does it take to kill that thing?
Who is this guy anyway? Just a random guy down here? Are there people working down here? Well, he gets drilled, receiving 19 inches of Ustanak, and then the two need to play Dead by Daylight with this beast, but I was never good at hide and seek.
Run!
He's found us!
Hide before he comes!
Run, Dion, hide!
What I'm doing? Oh, he came from his front!
Hiding in trash cans, running some more from their pursuer, they would finally find a drill bigger than the one attached to Ustanok's arm, and they would use it to kill it.
Why do I need to sit down too? I don't get it.
We did it.
Power of heavy equipment.
We beat him.
Just barely.
With him finally and definitely dead, the two make it outside, only to have more Javo waiting for them.
That's the rendezvous.
About damn time.
Oh my god, this motherfucker.
Come on, Supergirl.
Ada?
You know, those shots of yours pack one hell of a punch, lady.
So, you're Wesker Jr.
Wesker?
What?
He lost me.
Albert Wesker was a colossal imbecile. A fool who tried to destroy the world. He was also your father.
What?
Which makes you heir to a very special blood type.
And so this makes sense as to why he is immune to the viruses, why he has his strength and natural fighting capabilities, as well as why Chris seems to recognize him. Albert Wesker had a kid. This also explains why Ada knew so much about Neo Umbrella. She is, somehow, the one running it. But for now, while Chris is going to be MIA, getting drunk, and Jake and Sherry are captured and captive for 6 months, we go to June 29, 2013, back with Leon and Helena, one day prior to what we saw at the beginning, where they had just arrived at that place with the Neo Umbrella logo on the floor with the pillar.
Bioorganic weapons are a global threat. Start working with the rest of the world. Raccoon City. We have to come clean. My desire to reveal the truth. I'm going to tell them everything. It might create more problems than it's time we take responsibility. We want to have any change. I've always valued your friendship, Leon.
Stay right where you are. Mr. President! Don't make me do this.
It's all my fault. I did this.
What are you talking about?
Tall Oaks Cathedral. I'll explain everything there, Agent Kennedy.
How do you know my name?
Yes?
Hunnigan,
Thank God you're both all right.
how do you two know each other?
That's Helena Harper. She's been with the Secret Service since last year. I can't tell you how good it is to hear you two are all right. Look, I hate to rush introductions, but I need a report on your situation.
I just shot the president.
What are you? He had already been infected by the time we found him. Leon did what he had to. He saved my life.
God help us. I'll submit the report. You two just focus on getting the hell out of there. The virus has already spread 3 miles past the campus perimeter, and it's not slowing down. You need to hurry.
Not before we check out Tall Oaks Cathedral. Agent Kennedy's got a lead that might tell us who's responsible for this.
Leon, is that true?
Yeah. I think I might have something.
Roger that. I'll map out the safest access route. Keep your radio on.
I got a lead?
You will if you come with me.
So this is where Helena and Leon meet for the first time, having to kill the president, who Leon had formed a pretty good relationship with, meaning he was personally invested in his death. Now, Helena takes responsibility for this happening, but decides to drag Leon and all of us along for the next few hours without telling us anything. But moving forward, instead of taking care of the outbreak Neo Umbrella had released on Tall Oaks, we follow Helena all the way to the cathedral, which was really annoying because she says it's hard to explain, but like, we have time. We have a long way to go and puzzles to stand around and wait to complete, so she could definitely tell Leon on the way. But before they get to the cathedral, they meet a guy at this college campus looking for his daughter Liz. He mentions that the fog came out of nowhere. They find his daughter, but she turns into the typical zombie we're used to seeing, and she eats her dad. The two agents then encounter more Zeds in the parking lot, and now they've wasted enough time here, so they need to move forward. Leon realizes that the fog contains the C virus, and if anybody breathes it in, except for him and Helena of course, because plot armor, they would then be turned into zombies. Getting away from campus in a cop car, it's been a while since he's been in one of those I think, no more than 2 minutes later, because Leon is such a great driver, he crashes it, and they enter the sewers, which is as much of a standard for RE titles as self-destructing facilities.
What is up with the earpieces? With the lights on it.
Bro, why are you looking at me like that?
I'm fine.
Stop staring down my chest, bro.
Bro.
Let me go.
We should hurry.
What's the matter? Not a fan of sewers?
Come on. Let's just get to the cathedral, and then I'll tell you everything.
Bioorganic weapons represents a threat. I'm going to tell them everything. Everything we know about the Raccoon City incident.
But sir...
A lot of people are questioning my desire to reveal the truth. I know where they're coming from. It might create more problems than it solves. A lesson I learned well in the military. Bioorganic weapons are a global threat, and we are partly to blame. We have to come clean and start working with the rest of the world if we want to have any chance of fighting this.
Whatever you decide, sir, I'm with you.
I've always valued your friendship, Leon. It's time we take responsibility and end this mess.
It's gonna be a tough road.
Why did he say it ominously like that? After having a flashback of him talking with the president saying he's going to tell everybody the truth about Raccoon City, the two continue through, apparently, not the sewers. They said it was the sewers, it initially looked like sewers, but now they are going through the metro. But I guess it kind of makes sense for sewers and underground train stations to be like right next to each other. I wouldn't know, I'm not into oceanography. Back above the streets, running through the zombies and fires, Leon has a bad case of deja vu. And watch this, he gets hit by a truck. And watch Leon get up.
That way.
Watch Leon
Lovely.
just get up like nothing happened. Look at this shit, bro.
Lovely. Jesus.
Heading inside a building, we also pass by a TV talking about how a certain group stole a Navy submarine, which is not an easy thing to do. Not speaking from experience, but it's no simple task. However, a transmission from said sub mentioned the threat of an attack, so I wonder who stole that submarine. Later, the two would run into survivors at a gas station, helping them over to a gun store, memories of Kendo. He doesn't want to let us up to safety until we kill all the zombies outside, but when we finally do that solid for him...
Hey! Pretty quiet down there! You guys still freezing?
For the time being, store's clear!
Get up here!
Wanna let us in now?
Alright. Get your asses up here before it changed my mind.
What? You could have done that this whole time? What the fuck?
Come on!
Old Head says he's got homies coming to rescue him in a bus and that it's coincidentally going to take them to the cathedral, which is exactly where Helena has been trying to take us. She still hasn't told us why, and guess what? Even when we get there, she's not going to tell us right away. However, a squad of zombies would come rushing at them from outside again.
Yo, Japanese dude, get the shutters!
Yo, Japanese dude? What the fuck?
I mean, he's Japanese?
Yeah, but...
Barely escaping without his shirt and apparently any seats on this bus, they start making it to the cathedral. Along the way, Hunnigan informs Leon about Neo Umbrella and how the bioterrorist group has claimed responsibility for the attacks. Leon grimaces, and Hunnigan says that she needs to know exactly what is inside of the cathedral. Remember, she took Leon's word that he had a lead over there, so Hunnigan had to justify the deviation of plans to her higher-ups, specifically Derek C. Simmons. However, suddenly, a zombie shows up on the road, and instead of slowing down or going around, the driver speeds up and runs it over.
All from one zombie. Whatever. Why did you even do that then? What were you thinking?
Why not just like go around him? Oh, okay. I guess that also makes sense, but still.
No, you could have slowed down and that wouldn't have happened at all.
As a consequence, the bus crashes down the side of the mountain. Leon and Helena would be totally fine, but everybody else would die.
See what happens when you run over one zombie.
Yeah.
They escaped the infection. Only to die like this.
There's no time to grieve.
When they get there, after narrowly escaping the undead that they could have just killed too quickly, they see that a bunch of survivors have been holed up here waiting for rescue. To their dismay, Leon tells them that they aren't there to save them and they dejectedly walk away. Helena points out a secret door at the altar, and after letting my brother solve all the puzzles
are easy, just FYI.
They open it, only to find that there had been something waiting to come up. It's a zombie, with holes all over its skin, top to bottom, walking up to the man who just decides to stand there, and it releases this blue gas from its body. This is the C virus in gas form, and it turns everybody except Leon and Helena into zombies. But after setting it on fire and taking the secret passage downstairs, they find this lab. When they see the monsters in vats, Helena says that those weren't there 3 days ago, which is insane for her to say. Because if she was here 3 days ago, that means she knew how to get in here this whole time. All those puzzles we slogged through, and Helena just kept all the answers to herself. Leon finds a VHS tape titled Happy Birthday Ada, and of course, he has to see what's on it.
Birthday video.
What the fuck?
Nice. Nice.
this what you wanted to show me?
No. I thought...
So somehow Ada, or somebody who looks exactly like Ada, was born from one of those cocoons, and Leon is just as confused about what's going on as I am. Slipping into the mines below the secret lab that was below the cathedral, Leon asks Helena why she can't fill him in yet. She promised that she would explain everything when they got to the cathedral, and so far, she hasn't told us anything. Her excuse is that he wouldn't believe her, as if she hasn't been lying to us and already giving us more than enough reason to not believe her, plus the things Leon's seen, hell, the things they've seen now since they've met together. I don't think whatever she's keeping is going to be that hard to believe, honestly. But soon, they find Helena's sister, so surely she will finally tell us what is going on now.
Deborah!
Deborah? Oh, but
Can
Deborah!
you hear me?
Deborah.
Why are you dressed like this, Deborah?
Oh, thank goodness.
How do they pronounce Deborah's name right, but not Helena's?
I think it's pronounced Deborah.
That's what I'm saying. They said Deborah, but they say
Enough of
Helena.
the mystery.
Oh,
What the hell is going on here?
Let's just get her out of here. And then I'll tell you everything. I promise.
This freaking game, bro.
Alright, so now she's saying she's not going to tell us anything until they get out. If I was Leon, I probably would have been like long gone already or something. Like, I'm not playing this game with you. I'm going to go, do my own thing or focus on the mission that I was initially sent here for. Next thing you know, she's going to say she's not going to tell us anything until 2077. But in the middle of them trying to escape, by the way, they're heading downwards when I think the exit is upwards, no? And also, how do they know where they're going? Suddenly something happens to Deborah. Her body combusts into flames. Her screams warp until she solidifies into a cocoon. Oh, that sucks.
No.
I got a good look while I had just...
No, this can't be happening.
Ada.
You look like you've seen a ghost.
Ada. What the hell is going on here?
It's complicated. But this isn't the time or the place.
Damn. Leon is really the guy who doesn't know anything, and the women around him keep telling him they'll tell him later. But I guess it makes sense this time because as Helena is apologizing to her sister, Deborah has these arms growing out from her back and she starts to attack.
Watch out, you two! She's strong!
Watch out for yourself.
What the fuck? After Leon smashes, then proceeds to get smashed by every overhead on the mining cart, with Ada, by the way, telling Helena to put her sister out of her misery, they crash and fall over. How deep do these mines go? Deborah is about to murder her sister, so Ada and Leon shoot at her from afar, finally putting an end to her agony. But before she stumbles over, Helena catches her to say her final goodbyes, promising to avenge her death.
No more tears. Not until I avenge your death. Please. For
Forgive me. I'm gonna make him pay for this. Look at me. It's gonna be okay. Look at me. Look at me. It's gonna be okay. Just keep your eyes on me. Help me. I'm gonna get you out of here, Deborah. Deborah, look at me. We're gonna get through this. No, let her go! Get away from me! Not her! Not my sister! Take me! Please! I'll do anything! Please! Please! Please don't hurt her! Deborah! I didn't know what else to do. So I helped him. I helped Simmons breach the president's security.
That sounds like Simmons, all right.
Why the hell would he do all this?
Long story. We're up against the people who really run this country. In a very dangerous game. And if you don't play your hand right...
Leon, where are you?
Simmons there.
Yes.
Hunnigan, you need to be careful. I think he's the one who did all.
Hear my name.
Simmons.
The President spoke highly of you, Agent Kennedy.
Likewise. He told me you've been friends for 30 years.
Tell me, is it true you were the only ones present at the time of his death?
What are you saying?
Well, you must be aware that you are both suspects in this attack.
What?
Agent Harper. At the time of the attack, you had abandoned your post, leaving the President vulnerable. You must admit such behavior is suspicious.
You son of a bitch! You're the one who planned all this!
With what evidence could you base such an outrageous accusation? I am the National Security Advisor. It's my job to prevent terrorist attacks, not cause them.
You liar!
Helena.
If the two of you feel so strongly about your innocence, then you should have no problem turning yourselves in.
I'm gonna make him pay.
Looks like things just went from bad to worse.
Alright, so some key takeaways from that scene. 1. Helena helped Simmons kill the president. 2. Ada says that there is some shadow organization who is secretly pulling all the strings around the world, controlling events unseen. And now, 3. Leon and Helena are wanted criminals being framed for the death of the president. Somehow, they find themselves under the mines in the catacombs. Like, I am genuinely curious about how deep this goes, right? Because there's the cathedral, then there's the secret lab, under that was the mines, and then now under that is the catacombs. Obviously, they don't go deeper than my love for my wife, but still, it just doesn't make sense that, you know what? Umbrella was making factories and facilities deep in the earth even before 1998, so maybe I'm just overthinking it. Or Capcom just hopes nobody would ask. Proceeding through the catacombs, Helena would ask if all of this belongs to Simmons, and Leon says that it is very likely considering that his lab was right above. But then they get to this door that has Simmons's family tree, and we come to realize his ancestry, his family, have deep roots. Family. Vin Diesel. Family. Using the ring Ada gave him opens up the door and allows my brother and I to just mob left and right like buffoons for a few seconds. After a painfully long time of my brother solving the puzzles throughout the rest of the catacombs, we would meet this zombie shark who drags Leon and Helena through the waters at such high speeds. Remembering that physics is optional in Resident Evil, the two just ignore the damage of ripping through the tides, fighting off the shark in his own jaws, and then they start falling backwards on the rapids faster than the shark swimming towards them. But then, there is this barrel of TNT that randomly comes out of nowhere to fall in slow motion while everything else is at high speed still, and Leon shoots it, blowing up the zombie's nose, falling off deeper into the... Wait, I thought they were underground.
He's sterilizing the area.
And destroying the evidence.
How could he?
Thank God you're still alive.
Where's Simmons?
After speaking with you, he left. In a hurry.
Shit.
Where did he go?
As he was leaving, he was talking to someone on the phone. He didn't sound too happy.
Any way we can find out where he went?
Don't worry. I've got a tail on him. He's on his way to the airport right now, where his private jet is preparing to leave for China.
China?
Yes. Take a look at these.
What happened?
Another bioterrorism attack. The BSAA confirmed it was the same one used in Eastern Europe 6 months ago, called the C virus.
C virus?
We saw cocoons just like that here.
We need to stop Simmons and take him into custody right away.
We have no evidence. And right now, you two are on the top of their list of suspects.
No.
Listen, Hunnigan. I need you to fake our deaths. Can you do that?
What?
Of course. But they'll figure it out eventually. What are you going to do?
We're going to China.
After having been held in captivity and experimented on for 6 months, Jack and Sally would initiate their attempt to escape the facility. They are now being held in China, and as they're shoving Jake out, he responds to them in their own language, which startles them. So either Jake already knew the language, or he picked it up in 6 months because he's a genius. If your foreign prisoner talks back to you in your language, it's a wrap. Just go home for the day. One question I do have is, who was Jake's mother? All we know is that she was from Edonia, and Wesker likely hooked up with her back in the 1900s. He probably didn't even know he had a son, or if he did, he didn't care. Wesker, well, here's the thing. I feel like if Wesker knew that he had a son, he probably would care, but only so far as him being able to study the effects of, what he passed down to his son. I don't think he would really care about him. I don't think he's going to be like a father, you know what I mean? The other thing, Wesker never really seemed the type to get romantically involved. But he's still human to an extent. Even William Birkin felt compelled to get married and procreate. And now that you guys mention it, I wouldn't be surprised if Wesker also messed around with Excella back in Resident Evil 5. Moving on, it wouldn't be long until the two kids with demons for parents reunite.
Where are we?
China.
Obviously, but where? Why?
Don't know, don't care. I just know I am done being their guinea pig.
What did they do to you?
Plenty. He said something about using my antibody to enhance the C virus.
Oh no. What else did they say?
You know anything about an Albert Wesker?
What?
Take that as a yes. They talked about him. A lot. I guess he had an antibody that could fight off any virus. Apparently, he abused his gift. Took it for granted. And then ended up turning himself into some kind of monster. And I thought dear old Dad was just a deadbeat who skipped out on us. No. He was actually a freaking nut job who almost destroyed the world.
Your father's actions have nothing to do with you.
Yeah, but his blood does. It's the whole reason why we're even here. I mean, come on. You really think that crazy doesn't run in the family? That nothing of who my father was didn't somehow get passed on down to me? You of all people should know that's true. I'm just saying. The man that I am, the things that I've done, at least it all makes a little bit more sense now. What?
You can blame your father all you want. But at some point, you have to take responsibility for your own actions.
So this confirms that Neo Umbrella did in fact create a stronger version of the C virus using the antibodies they extracted from Jake, not to mention that he is now fully aware of who his father was. I do like seeing how he is struggling internally with this revelation. Not only did Albert pass down his antibodies, Jake is worried that he might inherit his insanity and output more evil into the world. But he's also sort of drawing lines and connecting dots here because he talks about all the bad that he's already done, attributing those actions to his father. But luckily, he has Sherry there, because if anyone can relate to him, it's her. Her dad was the monster who worked closely with his dad and was even integral to Raccoon City, the incident. But she didn't let that define her or the way that she lives now. So, while they're looking for a way out, they find a room that has all of the data that Neo Umbrella got on Jake. Downloading that onto a chip, Sherry contacts Simmons to notify him of where they are, and to her surprise, he says they are already in China nearby. She doesn't suspect anything of her boss yet, so she agrees to continue her mission to get Jake to the US government. Running outside, Jake gets tackled by a tank, and after a while they find a motorbike and are able to escape it and their confinement, riding off towards the city. Back with Chris, who's finally remembered everything, he begins directing his anger and need for revenge towards Ada Wong for having murdered his men. Thus begins the manhunt for her. Along the way, they also happen to spot Jake and Sherry, with Piers noting how they went missing 6 months ago back in Eastern Europe. Neo Umbrella is chasing those two, so these two help fight off the helicopter and all the Javo that are descending upon them. Setting that copter crashing, Chris checks on the kids. He and Jake lock eyes. Even Sherry wonders, what is this? What is going on between you guys? But I think Chris is just remembering all the good times he had with Wesker.
You have no idea how much I hate
you. Captain, we can't let them go.
Our mission is to terminate the BOWs.
But Neo Umbrella is after them.
I said our mission is to terminate the BOWs.
Piers is like a neglected son. Chris and his team move out to search for Ada, only to find an invisible snake that eviscerates all of his men one by one. Chris really can't catch a break. Anybody on his unit is gonna die. Curse of being the main character. Your men die, you watch. Eventually, they shock and fire the sea-infected snake, which means there are now only 3 BSAA soldiers left. With the increasing danger and dwindling power, Piers strongly insists that they get out of there before they lose anything more. However, it is too late. Ada pops up in the window to taunt them. She injects the last non-important character in the room with the sea virus, turning him into a Krakoa. Too much Marvel Rivals. It's the name of one of the maps on that game, by the way, if you don't play it. As I was saying, he turns into a cocoon and they have to fight him. After that, Chris punches the floor, but it doesn't break. He picks up his dead mate's C4, using it to blow open the gate, and walking forward, guilt weighs on him. Yet again, he led his men to death, and this time Piers is there to tell him it is because he is blinded by vengeance that he is not thinking clearly, causing him to make mistakes, and it is the people who follow him who end up paying the costs. How long before Piers pays that cost?
Do you even care about our mission anymore? Shut up! I feel sorry for all the men that died believing in you. What happened to the legendary Chris Redfield, huh? What happened to you? It's a good thing Finn's not around to see you this way. I'm going after Ada. HQ, this is Alpha Leader. I need a location on Ada Wong. I'm going with you. Someone's got to keep an eye on you, whether you want them to or not.
After some time, they do catch up with Ada. However, they're not the only ones who were after her.
There she is. Cut her off. I've got her.
Chris? Leon? What are you doing here?
Put your gun down, Chris. She's a key witness. We need her.
A witness? She's the one who did all this!
No, it wasn't her. It was Simmons, the National Security Advisor.
I lost all my men because of her!
And I lost over 70,000 people, including the president, because of Simmons.
She's working for Neo Umbrella. You know what that means?
Yeah, I do.
And you're still going to protect this woman?
I am.
Captain! Freeze! Damn it!
Helena!
He's gonna kill her!
Chris, wait! We both want the same thing here.
All right. The BSAA will handle Ada. You take care of Simmons.
Chris! I know you'll do the right thing.
Just making a break for the harbor. Get in!
Hey, Piers. What you said about me hiding from my past. You were right.
Captain?
Catch up to her?
Won't stop until I do.
From there, they pursue Ada through the streets of Night City and end up driving all the way to a port where they would make a jump onto an aircraft carrier, going unconscious as Ada escapes again. So, rewinding back to where after Jake and Sherry rode off on the bike, Simmons calls her and tells her where to meet him. But the journey to that location is about to be riddled with bullets and zombies as Neo Umbrella is chasing them in a helicopter. The chopper chases them into town where they would come across Chris and Piers, who, as you guys already know, help in their fight against Neo Umbrella here. Now, when it gets to the part where Chris and Jake lock eyes, Sherry sees this happening and doesn't like it, so she says they need to keep moving. But that is when Jake asks if Chris knew that his dad was his father. Sherry doesn't know how to respond to that, and he says maybe he just rubbed him the wrong way. They press on and Jake remarks about how expensive that helicopter they just destroyed was. $15 million about. Sherry says Neo Umbrella likely has an oil baron or two. Jake responds that in his country it is believed that the United States of America causes most of the problems in the world. Talk about Resident Evil being ahead of its time. Or maybe things just never change. I mean, what a statement to hear from a video game in March of 2026. Almost April. Sherry, spoken like a true blue, white, and red-blooded American, sarcastically says that everybody loves to blame Uncle Sam for everything while self-victimizing, telling Jake that the USA isn't the bad guys. In fact, the US of A is just as much of a victim as any other country. They are just trying to spread managed democracy and freedom for the betterment of mutant kind. But jumping forward, they happen to run into Leon and Helena next.
Is that... Leon?
Sherry? What are you doing here?
I'm on protective detail.
Yeah. I heard you became an agent.
Why are you here?
I'm tracking the man behind all this. Chief Security Advisor Simmons.
What? There must be some sort of mistake. I report to Simmons.
He's your supervisor?
We're on our way to meet with him right now.
Where is he? I need to know.
Jake! Let me handle this.
But your orders were to avoid contact with anyone.
Leon's not just anyone. He saved my life back in Raccoon City.
Fair enough.
Look out! Leon, the plane!
Him again? Friend of yours? Or like an ex-girlfriend? Guy doesn't know when to quit. Welcome to the club. You get used to it.
After blowing Nemesis Jr. up and dropping a tower on him, the group gets split up again. Sherry says they all have to meet up at Simmons' location, however, as they're going down the path, she begins to express concern that he might actually be the bad guy, and that bringing Jake to him is a mistake. But they don't have time to stop and talk because a monster with a chainsaw for an arm comes swinging for them. They almost don't get away on the boat in time, but luckily somebody from the shadows was watching over them. Right as they were about to disembark, the zombie would corner Sherry, her back getting closer to the spinning helicopter blades in the water. I do wonder though, if she could have just jumped off and swam to safety. Regardless, Batman comes swooping in on a grappling hook to save Sherry before disappearing back to the shadows. Right before they're about to meet Simmons, Sherry stops to tell Jake that if Leon is right about her boss, that if things take a turn for the worse, that Jake will just run away no matter what. He agrees, but when they walk in, they see that Leon and Helena are already there facing Simmons down. Sherry intervenes, asking if he really is the mastermind behind everything, and all he says is that it is for the benefit of the nation and for global security. He then tells his men to open fire, and of course, not a single bullet hits anybody. The four of them start making plans. Leon wants Jake to take Sherry and keep her safe while he and Helena finish Simmons. However, before going, Sherry hands Leon the data that she got back at the facility. This info has everything that they need to stop the C-Virus. They go their separate ways, however Jake and Sherry don't get far because they get surrounded by Javo. Going back on his word that he would just run away, he stays and he fights with her. However, because plot dictates it, despite having defeated scores of them up until this point, they lose to like 7 Javo, with Sherry being carried away and Jake unable to fight them all off as he is held back. But heading back in time again once more to see how Helena and Leon even got to China after having dealt with the shark in the catacombs, they are on a plane waiting to touch down when Helena asks why Leon didn't just turn her in for having helped to assassinate the president. Leon says that it wouldn't have changed anything and that she's growing on him. However, that is when the plane starts to shake and people begin to panic. Running to the front to see what's going down, it's the plane. Because the pilot was somehow infected with the C-Virus, and I wish they showed or explained how exactly this happened, but it just randomly does. And it happens at this exact moment as they're about to land where they need to be. And now we have that BOW from the cathedral that releases the C-Virus into the air on the plane, meaning everybody is going to get zombified. However, after dealing with all the zombies, Leon crashes the plane into the city, passing by Ada, who's watching it fall from a train. Leon and Helena walk out of there barely inconvenienced when Sherry calls out to them. We know what happens here, but after they separate, we see Leon's perspective where he hopes that Jake is actually as good as he thinks he is. I think in a fight, Leon would win. I think if, Leon and Jake fought, Leon would wipe his ass like a newborn baby. From there, they go towards the meeting point with Simmons, but not before stopping Chris from apprehending Ada. Next, they find Simmons and we saw what happened, but what we didn't see was what happened to Simmons off-screen. As he turns around, after telling his men to start firing, he gets shot with a dose of the C-Virus. And he knows who did this too, saying, "She got me." So he starts stumbling off with Leon and Helena in pursuit.
Blade.
He's getting away.
Come on!
I'm just giving you exactly what you gave me, Simmons. At first, you'll be afraid. But don't worry. You're just becoming the monster you always were. You and everyone else on the planet.
Give it up, Simmons! We've got you.
You still chase me while that woman is on the loose?
What woman?
That traitor, Ada Wong. Who knows what she's got in store?
Another team was sent after her. You, Simmons? You're all ours.
Are you here to avenge the president? Is that it? You fool. Had he disclosed the truth behind Raccoon City, the US would have lost all its authority, and the global political order would have collapsed.
So to avoid one possible disaster, you create another? No matter how many people die?
He had to be stopped! He was leading my country and this world into complete chaos. Ah! That woman... how dare she do this to me?
So that reveals one big motivation for Simmons. He killed the president because he was going to expose the truth about the United States' government's actions when it came to Raccoon City. Had the files been released, this would have ruined credibility for the US, meaning they would have lost power. You know, I was just thinking, it is a good thing that this is just a game, and that in real life, the US doesn't have people at the top, or any nation doesn't have people at the top, who try to cover up the evil that they've done by oversaturating the media with more disasters. Like, just imagine somebody who starts an entire war simply for the sole purpose of trying to get people to forget about what he's done or she's done. Never would happen. So now the two have to fight the mutated Simmons on, in, through, back on, and even on another train. Side note, I'm pretty sure he has the enhanced version of the C virus by the way that he's this shape-shifting monster and not like a regular Javo. And on top of all of this, somebody is following them on a helicopter, helping to fight Simmons from above. But soon, Simmons runs out of steam, and he tries to run into the train head on.
What would happen if I...
The world will be a better place!
Also, notice how Simmons says family. It's a capital F in the subtitles. Also notice that there were two helicopters departing from the bridge. As they're walking up, they hear people talking about evacuating the city. There is no sign of the C virus, so they're wondering why are they evacuating at all. But that is when Leon gets a call.
Is it over?
Yeah. It's over.
Leon, we have a situation. Sherry and her companion were abducted. Our satellite places them at an undersea oil field about 80 miles from you.
Abducted? Why?
Files. The one she gave us. This is the key to stopping the C virus. It's...
Jake. Hunnigan, could you check and see if the BSAA has any units near the oil field?
Just one moment.
What is that?
Okay, I've got a Chris Redfield on the line, patching you through to his aircraft.
Chris Redfield.
Leon! Leon, where are you?
Chris, we're just outside of Tachi. Why?
Get the hell out of there!
Damn, that is probably what it would look like if Wesker got his wish back in Resident Evil 5. Just imagine the missile with Ouroboros all over in different cities. Waking up back with Chris and Piers on the aircraft carrier, we learn about what happened before he calls Leon to tell him to get out of the city. They fight a stronger variation of Neo Umbrella's Javos, and as they're going through, still in pursuit of Ada, they hear her voice on the 1MC talking to Simmons because right before she was here on the carrier, if you remember, she had just infected him with the C virus. She, of course, talks about how she wants to infect the world and how he and his family shaped everything into what it is now, but that by tomorrow she is going to destroy everything that he and his family have built. When they go up the elevator, they just barely catch Ada, who is dressed differently than the Ada that we just saw. I've been noticing that too. She keeps changing her attire. Now, Chris and Piers do not find red shirt Ada, but they do go outside to find black dress Ada, who taunts and reminds Chris about the men that he's lost again. No doubt, Chris is infuriated, but he doesn't kill her where she stands. Instead, he was keeping his promise to Leon that he would take her in and let Justice handle her. But then, she reveals that there is a missile on a carrier planning to launch onto the city. Even worse, she's got something else that is going to infect the entire world. Now, what she didn't expect was this helicopter, the same one from the train fight, or one of them, with Simmons, the one he called family. Somehow silently, the helicopter pops up behind Ada and shoots her, and she tells Simmons and his family that it is still too late before she falls off and lands on the flight deck. Piers would find a case of the enhanced strain of the C virus, and there are supposed to be 3, but one was administered to Simmons, another one is missing, and the last one is here in Piers's hands. Chris tells him to take it to the BSAA so that they can analyze it later. Going forward, finding a jet, Chris immediately sets it up and launches it, which, by the way, that doesn't happen fast. There's turning time and checks involved. I mean, I know that Chris was an Air Force pilot, but I mean, there are different birds and models which have variations here and there, plus this is in China. But hey, maybe it's just a better narrative if we don't ask. The other thing is, I don't think that we've really delved into, or Capcom hasn't really shown us through the main games just how experienced and capable Chris is. You know what I mean? Like, sure, he's stars, he's an elite, he's captain of the BSAA, but I feel like they don't really talk about just how much he's capable of, right? Because in RE4, we saw that Leon is basically Black Ops level. Like, he's this insane Spec Ops tactician. You know what I mean? But we don't really get that with Chris. Flying off and locating the carrier that has the missile Ada told them about, Piers gets down and disarms the missile while also running from one of those immense infected. However, their efforts were in vain, because Ada prepared for this somehow in advance, and the missile restarts its prep for launch. So Chris tries to fire a missile at it, but it doesn't stop.
It's heading for the city!
This is FOS. Is anyone there?
FOS?
Chris Redfield with the BSAA here.
Hold on. I'm patching you through to Agent Leon Kennedy.
What? Leon! Leon, where are you?
Chris, we're just outside of Tachi. Why?
Get the hell out of there!
And then, in typical RE6 fashion, they have you rewatch the same cutscene, but after the C-Virus missile goes off, Leon tells Chris that he and Helena are fine, but that zombies are now running amok. However, all Piers and Chris can do now is go rescue Jake and Sherry from the underground facility. To his surprise, Chris learns that Jake is Albert Wesker's son, and that he has the antibodies for the C-Virus, making him super duper integral to stopping the madness. However, before leaving, Chris tells Leon that Ada is dead. The love of his life is gone. But Leon has nothing he can say right now because they have a mission too. Moving through the dark blue of the city, they nearly get smashed into by a tanker. It explodes, sending them flying into a windshield with a cocoon hatching on the steering wheel. And this is where we started at the beginning of the game, but with different insights. It changes a few things, which kind of annoys me for being so inconsistent, and I'll point those out soon. Regaining consciousness, they're surrounded by zombies, and that is when it is revealed that Ada is not dead. she was the one at the beginning who was flying the helicopter. Remember I made a joke about Stormtrooper aim? She really wasn't trying to hit them. Instead, she was hitting the zombies all around them. Of course, she helps them through, but Leon and Helena don't stumble or struggle to rip off planks off a door like we saw at the start. And when we get to the Neo Umbrella building, it turns out the guy who's back for more was actually Simmons. He too was still alive.
Back for more.
I know what you did. Ada! You disobeyed me. You took Wesker's son away! Use that bastard's blood to make the virus stronger!
Hope you got friends on the other side, because no one's gonna miss you here.
So how is it that Ada is still alive, by the way, after having been shot and falling to her death? More on that a bit. But for now, the three of them have to fight T-Rex Simmons. Their fight would then move outside the building and up above on Skyscrapers, but in a moment's rest, Helena would stop and realize that Leon was high-key in love with Ada. And Fate doesn't want her asking questions about their relationship because it's not her business, so an explosion sets off on the elevator, sending it flying off with just a cable as their only lifeline. Using this opportunity, they jump onto another elevator, but that falls too, forcing them to cable climb up. And this is a crazy display of strength, by the way, almost unrealistic. They are doing this after being physically exhausted, off of no sleep, all upper body, but then again, the virus inside of them probably gives them these superhuman capabilities. The thing is, I don't know how Helena got infected though. Somehow she's immune to the C virus and she can pull off the same feats as Leon. I don't know. It's not enough to say that she's Secret Service or whatever she is. But moving forward, seeing Simmons fighting Ada on the bridge, Leon goes to help. He gets there just in time as Ada gets knocked out. Leon is able to body block these, I don't know what these are, bones, that Simmons fires at them. Soon, Ada wakes back up and they fight Simmons together, to victory. She does mention to Leon that Simmons doesn't take rejection well, but eventually the fight has him hanging off the bridge. Ada comes up behind to jab steel into his side, shoving him off the building or the bridge, stating that this is closure and that he should have moved on. They had a thing in the past, and I guess it was more one-sided than anything because he has been obsessed with Ada ever since she left him.
What are you? Why are you helping us?
Wish I could stay longer, but I've got to run. I've left you a little parting gift on the roof. See you down the road, Leon.
Ada!
What are you waiting for?
Go after her.
No. We're sticking together.
There's our ticket out of here. If we can get to it.
He just doesn't quit, does he?
Enough is enough.
Separate ways again. They make it to the roof where they would find more zombies and Simmons again. Getting real tired of this plot device, like the Ouroboros, he absorbs the bodies around him and soon the zombies would attack him, eating him. However, it doesn't stop him. He continues to take them all in until eventually he transforms into this gigantic fly. Again, I wonder what dictates what he transforms into, or is it just like random bullshit? Using this randomly placed metal tip, Leon picks it up, stabs it into a zombie, which Simmons absorbs, and it conducts lightning to strike him in the face, sending him off the side of the building. And yet, that still would not be enough, because in Resident Evil, nobody ever dies. When they get to the helicopter that Ada left for them, he shows up once again. Using the RPG that Ada left him, Leon pokes Simmons in the eye.
That's for my sister.
Come on. Let's get to the chopper.
Is that Ada's? Leon, this is...
Evidence that proves Simmons' guilt.
Which means it will prove your innocence.
Our innocence.
I don't need it.
Helena.
Good news, Leon. We found a way to defeat the virus.
Copy that. We're on our way back. See you soon. Let's go.
Moving on to Jake and Sherry, after being captured by Simmons, she apologizes to Jake for everything. Naturally, he's not mad at her for doing what she believed was right, when out of nowhere they're released from being locked in place. Taking an elevator up, they run into Chris and Piers, who've made it here to save them.
Chris!
Glad to see you're okay.
Wait, was that you who just freed us?
Looks like you guys saved the day again, huh? I can see your father in you.
How did you know?
Wait, hold on a second. So you knew him? Yeah, I did. But I'm the one that killed him. was you?
That's right.
Chris? You better put a leash on that puppy.
This is between me and him. Go ahead. Shoot. You have every right to. Just promise me you'll survive. The world depends on it.
Who the hell are you to tell me what to do?
Stop it!
Put your gun down! Now! Tell me. We just following orders? Or was it personal?
Both.
Jake, please
Before
stop.
I put a bullet in your
Put
head.
your gun down.
Drop your
Don't
weapon.
do this!
There are more important things at stake than you and me. We gotta go!
Jake!
I know!
Attempting to find a way out, Sherry begs Jake to talk to Chris civilly after all this is over. And I think that if that conversation ever happened, Jake could understand more behind the whys everything happened. I think context matters quite a bit because you gotta remember this is probably a lot for him. I mean, like, up until 1 or 2 days ago, Jake thought that his dad was just the deadbeat who skipped out on him and his mom. Now he's faced with the revelation that his dad was going to kill the entire world, and the pineapple on top is that his father's killer is right in front of him. And as they're fighting their way up, Piers would even ask Chris, "Why would you tell Jake the truth?" And Chris would just say, he deserves to know it. However, there is a huge monster hanging in the center of this room. It's waking up, about to emerge from its cocoon.
We got it from here. Let's go.
Wait!
Hey! You got a job to finish.
There is no way they can take that thing!
We are not going back.
But they're gonna get killed!
Then that's their choice!
It's a sacrifice they're willing to make, and we can't stop them.
Jake!
You know what? I'm not my father. And I'm gonna make damn sure that it stays that way. We're getting out of here. And you're gonna save the world.
You're right. Let's go.
I don't know how him just saying that he's not his dad and that they're gonna save the world distracts Sherry from her not wanting to leave Chris behind to fight the big BOW, but I guess. However, soon they would have their own BOW to fight, Jake's nemesis.
Well, look who's back. sounds bullshit. Come get some, you ugly son of a bitch!
So, a little bit about Ustanak. He was actually an employee of Neo Umbrella who had this tragically frail body at first, and so he accepts the C virus in order to not have a weak body. The thing is, over 300 subjects before him died from this strain of C virus, but not him. However, he did lose his arm and it never regenerated. Soon it was discovered that Ustanak had maintained enough intelligence to even craft his own weapons, though Neo Umbrella would engineer an arm and armaments for him. Also, in retrospect, this kind of makes sense as to why they named him Ustanak, which again means rebellion, because the guy had a weak body. Over 300 people before him died during the experiments, so for him to be the one that survives is him rebelling against the odds. So I think that's pretty cool. Also, Rebellion is the name of Dante's sword in Devil May Cry. Just another side note. Other thing, Ustanak also had this powerful veneration for a certain woman, and you're going to learn who she is soon if you haven't put two and two together yet. The reason that he respected her so much was because she was the one who bestowed this newfound power to him. Ustanak viewed her as a mother, and she was the only one that he would listen to. And she wanted him to hunt and capture Jake. So here we are now in this underwater facility, surrounded by magma where Jake, Sherry, and the BOW would fight.
This is more like it. Let's settle this mano a mano.
I wonder how strong Jake is for him to be able to punch Ustanak hard enough to stagger him. Somebody commented and belabored this point in one of my YouTube Shorts videos. He said that Ustanak's skin was incredibly dense, so Jake must have incredible strength and durability for him to be able to do any damage and not receive any damage for punching Ustanak. But moving on, they go pound for pound until he gets the upper hand and starts bashing his face in repeatedly.
Take that! You like that?
Good riddance.
Let's get out of here!
With Ustanak finally dealt with, they find this platform. Pulling this lever, it immediately just blasts forward so fast, and you would think, seeing this, that anything not anchored would fly off. But no, Jake and Sherry are still there, just like Ustanak, who is still alive, and coming up behind them with a ball of incineration. Crawling forward to drop pipes in its face, it launches itself in front of them, but luckily they find a magnum and they both use it to shoot Ustanak one more time, actually ending him, giving Jake and Sherry this moment.
This shit ends now. You saved me. You know that, don't you? Thank you.
Now cutting back a bit to get Chris and Pier's perspective, they flew over on the jet and took the elevator underwater.
There's irony for you. A man who spent his entire life trying to destroy the world, and now his son is the only one who could save it.
And here I am coming to rescue him.
The man who killed his father. Like I said, irony.
I don't know. Maybe it's fate. It's been 3 years since I killed Wesker. I can't let this war follow me forever. After we rescue Jake, I'm turning in my gun.
What? Wait a minute.
It's about time someone took my place. I'd be honored if it was you.
I don't think I'm ready for that.
You've made it this far, haven't you? All right. This is it.
Making their way in, they find Jake and Sherry on the monitor, releasing them, and then meeting up with them just as we saw. This time, we take the lift with Jake, and he tells Chris that after this, they're gonna have a nice long talk about everything that's happened. Jake's got his chip on his shoulder. I guess he's kind of like lashing out because he's hurt, but Chris is, you know, the more mature and understanding one who's like, yeah, let the kid be angry, it's all right. I don't know the words for it off the top of my head, but it is a trope that I've seen before, just not often. With the BOW released, Chris and Piers first run from it because it's way too huge to fight down there, but then it follows them above and they fight it there until it collapses. However, the battle breaks their surroundings, causing the walls to crack. Water starts to flood in and this whole place is about to get deeped. They start leaving, but the BOW is still alive and outside, trying to break the walls of the tunnel that they're in. So they rush forward, barely making it under the door. However, the BOW slides under to reach in at the last moment. So Piers gets a new arm and can shoot electricity. Like I said, I wonder what dictates these transformations. Side note, this does remind me of the T+G virus from Resident Evil Dead Aim. In that video, we saw that the Tyrants also had Pikachu powers. Knowing that he was done for, Piers's Hail Mary is the C virus. Together, Piers and Chris are able to exhaust the BOW's life force completely until its heart is exposed, allowing Chris to rip it out.
Piers, come on, just stay with me. You're gonna be okay.
I'm sorry, Captain. I did it. For the BSAA. For the future.
I know. You did a real good thing.
As long as you...
I don't want to hear it! We're both getting out of here. All right? Let's go.
You're gonna be okay. We're almost there. Escape pods. See that? We'll be out of here in no time. Come on. Got it. Here we go, Pierce. We're getting out of here.
Pierce! No, don't do this!
Open the door!
God damn it! Listen to me! We can still both get out of here! There's still time! What are you doing? No, Pierce! Don't! You can still make it out! God damn it, Pierce!
No! Pierce, open the goddamn door! That's an order! No. Pierce!
Damn. Piers was supposed to take his place as the captain, but he paid the price. And now Piers is another soul weighing down on Chris's neck. From here we go back to June 27, a few days before everything that happened in China, and now we get to see what Ada Wong herself had been doing and how she is involved in everything. You guys remember that Navy submarine on TV that we saw? It was stolen. This is that sub.
Simmons?
Ada Wong. It's been a long time.
Not long enough. I see you still like to play games.
Old habits. Besides, a phone call can be so impersonal.
What is it you want?
I've received some very interesting intel on you, Miss Wong. Intel that will greatly influence your future. Curious?
Not in the slightest.
I knew you couldn't resist.
I'm just here to find out what you're up to.
Then by all means, proceed. So you know, Level 4 requires a handprint for access. I've made sure you'll be recognized.
You've got my prints on file. You're not playing around, are you?
Oh, I've got much more than your prints, Miss Wong. You'll see. Good luck.
All right, Simmons. Let's see what you're hiding.
Finding a recording of Simmons calling Ada his dearest, he tasks Ada with finding Jake and Sherry to ensure that they get out of Edonia safely so that he can get the antibodies for the C virus. There's just one issue. Ada was never given this mission, which again was dated 6 months ago. Odd, she and I both think, because Ada was definitely there in Edonia. She killed Chris's men. But if Ada is saying that she wasn't there and that she has no recollection of getting these orders, who is the Ada we saw? Soon, in order to evacuate, she would need to find and access the rescue sub on this sub, but it would require authorization in the form of Ada answering questions. The woman on the intercom states that back in Edonia, Ada performed experiments on humans under Simmons' orders, but Ada says she doesn't work for Simmons, that she never did any of the crimes that she's being accused of. The voice continues that Ada is looking for a world of chaos, but Ada responds that's not really her priority. However, if it bothers Simmons, she might be down for it. With authorization approved, Ada is able to safely leave this watery tomb, but right before she gets in, Simmons calls her, saying that starting tomorrow, the whole world will know pure chaos and that Ada herself is going to take the blame for it. But she says she's not just going to sit there and let it happen. Leaving the ocean and going to the cathedral at Tall Oaks, she sees Helena and Leon are there as well. Ada follows them down below, and you know what happens when she helps to put Deborah to rest. After which, she finds Simmons' lab as well as the birthday tape video, and after seeing her be born from that cocoon, she gets a call. Derek smugly asks if she's discovered anything new, and Ada immediately puts all the pieces together. She is not actually on the phone with Simmons right now. She's actually talking to...
Ada, you're the one behind Neo Umbrella.
I
don't know what you're talking about. Simmons would never be foolish enough to show his cards. He and his family want one thing:
to stabilize and sustain the system they've created.
But you want to destroy it. And the world will blame you. If she wants a game, she'll get one. With the real Ada Wong.
Who is this?
An old friend, Simmons. Ada Wong.
Ada.
Let's ditch the pleasantries and get right to it. That little doppelganger you brewed up just told me she has her heart set on destroying the world.
What?
Looks like the race is on. Let's see who comes in first.
So now that she's learned that Simmons cloned her and that the copy is planning to destroy the world, she starts her own hunt for the fake Ada, trying to stop her from releasing the C virus upon the world and using her as the scapegoat. Along the path, she rides the train, watches Leon crash her plane, saves Jake and Sherry from the chainsaw zombie, then makes her way to the aircraft carrier. Then we see that she's seen by Piers and Chris, but easily escapes as she doesn't have the time to explain everything. Once inside, she finds a voice recording of Simmons to learn that he used somebody named Carla to clone Ada.
Why won't it work?
Come Find the DNA sequence with the cocoon's biostructure. Find another subject. Use Carla for the next pass. She's a close match. Be careful what you say around her. I don't want her catching on. Yes. Yes. This is it. She may have left me, but now I have her back. Happy birthday, Ada Wong.
Now I get it.
So now it is time I explained everything about who is behind everything in Resident Evil 6 and why. Let's start with Derek Simmons. He is the US National Security Advisor and is a high-ranking political insider. He also leads a secret organization called The Family. Now, The Family is not a corporation or a government agency. They're like the Court of Owls from Batman. They're this hidden, powerful network of elites that have existed for centuries, operating behind the scenes and influencing global politics. Their stated goal is stability, as you heard Ada say. They believe the world needs quiet guidance from people who can pull strings and shape events without public interference. Simmons inherits leadership of this organization, and so naturally his worldview follows the same philosophy, that society must be managed from the shadows, and he is willing to sacrifice lives to preserve that control. But when the president prepares to reveal the truth about the Raccoon City incident, as well as the government's connections to bioweapons research, Simmons decides that public confession would destabilize the world order that he wants to maintain. And so in response to this, he orchestrates a bioterror attack on Tall Oaks that would ensure the president dies before that information becomes public, and this decision sets the crisis of Resident Evil 6 in motion. However, the second central villain comes from Simmons' own design, his own heresy. Her name is Carla Radam. Carla was a prodigy in the field of genetics. She earns a doctorate at an extremely young age and becomes one of Simmons' most important scientists, and it is during her work under Simmons that she develops a new viral weapon that eventually becomes known as the C virus. Her relationship with Simmons changes because of his obsession with Ada Wong. Simmons, a man who can't take no for an answer, becomes fixated on Ada after she escapes his control years later. More on that soon. But instead of letting Ada go, he attempts to recreate her and just really let that sink in. How disgustingly demented do you have to be to not respect someone's agency that you have to make a literal clone of someone so that you can feel like you have, possession of another human? Straight up sick. But also in real life, there are some dark and twisted people who would most definitely try to clone somebody that they couldn't have. And Simmons, he is probably one of the most egregious villains that I've come across in Resident Evil. Now, of course, you might be saying the real Ada Wong wasn't directly affected, but it is still her essence. It is still her body. And it is a complete violation of her. And Carla, who becomes the primary test subject for Simmons' vile experiment. Man wanted to bone Ada so badly that he used the virus that Carla created to alter her body until she physically becomes identical to Ada Wong. Some wild shit, man. The procedure destroys most of Carla's identity, but it does not erase her awareness. Well, I don't think it happens right away, but Carla does soon understand what Simmons did to her and tried to hide from her. That revelation becomes the driving force behind her actions for the rest of the story. So yes, there are two antagonists for Resident Evil 6. But let's keep going. Carla turns against Simmons and secretly creates a new organization called Neo Umbrella. And I think she was able to do this through using the family's resources. I think she was secretly still working for herself, but also officially, at least in Simmons' eyes, working for him. So it was happening right under his nose. At least that's what I think. But it's called Neo Umbrella, However, it is not connected to the original Umbrella Corporation in a corporate sense. Carla uses the name and the symbol deliberately because Umbrella already represents fear and global disaster. By adopting that symbol again, she spreads even more panic and confusion while building her own bioterror network. The organization operates through hidden laboratories, mercenary forces, and large-scale viral deployments, which you've seen through missiles and BOWs. Neo Umbrella's entire purpose is to destabilize the system Simmons spent his life to protect. Her sole purpose is revenge against him. Her weapon for doing that is the C virus. The letter C does not mean Carla, by the way. I thought it did, but no. It actually refers to chrysalid, a stage in the infection process where the host becomes encased in a hardened cocoon before transforming into a new form. And then when it comes to the virus itself, it actually originated from, of course, Carla's early research, but she begins the project using a weakened sample of the T. Veronica virus as its base. During development, Carla engineers an intermediate strain designed to remove severe neurological damage that affected earlier viruses. Later, research incorporates genetic material connected to the G virus, which she acquired from Sherry Birkin. The result is a highly flexible viral platform. Sorry if you don't know this part already, but I'm restating it here in case anybody jumped ahead to this point of the video. In its most common use, the C virus transforms infected humans into creatures known as Javo. Unlike traditional zombies, Javo retains intelligence and can use weapons and tactics. Kind of like what the original Umbrella Corp wanted, I think. Naturally, the virus also triggers rapid mutations. Damaged body parts can regenerate or evolve into new biological structures, as even seen with Piers and his arm. And now that I think about it, some of the Javo who had bottom halves as grasshoppers or roaches, they were probably people who lost use of their legs and were promised that they would get them back. A bit like Ustanok too. I'm just thinking about what I said back then when I was wondering why anybody would agree to even take the C virus. But there are two things that I want you to remember, if anything. Carla's MO. One is basically to release the virus on a global scale, and two is to create absolute chaos to collapse the power structure that Simmons represents for the purpose of getting revenge against him. So those are the two reasons behind why she does what she does. At the same time, she develops something called Chaos, the big BOW that was hanging from the cocoon in the underwater facility. You might be wondering, why this gigantic monster at all? What was its purpose? Well, you know that the earlier C virus attacks relied on physical delivery, and we have the missiles that spread viral gas, and these create outbreaks, but they still require deployment sites and distribution systems. You and I both know a woman's wrath is something to behold. Carla wanted something more efficient than injections or gas. Chaos was designed to solve that problem. The creature's body produces large quantities of the C virus, and so it would, or once it's mature, it would function as a living dispersal system capable of spreading the virus across vast distances. It is this single organism that would just we would move around the entire planet and contaminate entire regions without needing missiles or laboratories. Carla was hoping that Chaos would just enter the open world and the virus would spread through the atmosphere itself. Set it and forget it. Just imagine this thing swimming through the 7 seas and causing a global pandemic. That is the biggest FU to Simmons. Straight releasing hell on Earth. Neo Umbrella, the C virus, Chaos, all of Carla's instruments to dismantle the empire that Simmons and his family built. But one last piece of the story helps to explain how this entire situation began, and that piece is the connection between Derek and Ada. So before the events of Resident Evil 6, years ago, Ada and Simmons worked together. She worked for the family. Their arrangement was professional. Ada completed missions that aligned with her own interests, while Simmons gained access to information and infiltration that others could accomplish. And in fact, looking back on my journey throughout the series, I'm pretty sure that this is the secret organization that Ada was actually working for, at least for a while. Part of me wonders if Wesker was also working for the family, because he talked about a rival company before. Or is that just the company that's unnamed? However, over time, Simmons began viewing Ada as more than just this useful operative. His interest shifted from professional respect to being an Ada Simplord. Ada did not share that deep of an interest. Maybe because she met Leon. I don't know how deep their relationship goes, but she continued to treat the relationship with Derek as business for a while until eventually she cuts ties with him completely. Losing that connection did not end Simmons' addiction and depraved desire for her. Instead, it intensified it. And it is this disturbing obsession that leads Simmons to recreate Ada. This would eventually, as you know, be his downfall.
Your hatred for Simmons drove you to tear down the world they created. But it was your conscience, Carla, that saw you fail. After all, isn't that why you brought me into this? It's a shame. If you had only sought vengeance against Simmons alone, I would have helped you.
Get over yourself. Help me? I'm the real Ada Wong. I don't need help from anyone. My plans aren't failing. They're thriving. And soon, this frail shell of a society will collapse. After that, you know what will be left of this world? Nothing! Hell will rise, and chaos will reign! And I, Ada Wong, will be queen of the new world!
Hate to break it to you, but you're nothing but a cheap knockoff, at best. Rest in peace, Carla.
However, she doesn't rest, and definitely not in pieces, because she would turn into this white liquid that would completely covers the aircraft carrier inside and out. Ada fights her, the entire time Carla calling her the fake Ada, until eventually Ada would flash freeze and shatter her to death, after which Ada hops up in a helicopter. She saves Leon and Helena and finds Simmons again at the quad tower. She helps them take him down before leaving, gets a good look at Leon, saying how the guy just can't stay out of trouble and is always one step behind. True though, ever since Resident Evil 2, she's been saving him. Flying up, and away on top of a building, she talks about how Simmons and Carla caused so much death and destruction. She kills a bunch of zombies to save people and also shoots one holding TNT, and this sets off an explosion where we see this giant tip, this metal point, comes falling off to stab into the ground, where Leon would later somehow pick it up. I don't know, like he just picks up the giant piece of metal and uses it against Simmons. I don't know how strong you have to be to pick that up. Actually, in fact, it looks way bigger when it first breaks off than it does when it falls to the ground. Landing and leaving the bird, as well as an RPG with a lipstick kiss and the evidence against Simmons in it, she heads down, sees Leon still surviving, and is caught by Simmons. Now, this is the part where we see her fighting him, but here, he also welcomes Ada back, saying how she finally returned to him, how they were destined to be together, but he thinks that he's talking to Carla, not realizing that this is the real Ada, because he says to her, "You were never perfect," saying that she was a mistake, but that because he made her, she needs to obey him. He proceeds to assault her, saying, "Don't worry, I'll be gentle." He continues with, claiming his possession over her, how every inch of her body belongs to him and how she can't live without him. Stomach churning levels of repulsion.
You're disgusting. Let's get this straight. I'm not your little doll. In fact, the only thing I have in common with her is hatred for you.
For my masterpiece, my beautiful creation.
Bashing his face in, skull against the concrete, she impales and sends his body going down in flames, where Ada would then send Leon a message, and the two would share a gaze.
So cute. You're really confused by all this, aren't you, Leon? It's kind of fun to watch.
Ada!
Not long after, Ada finds Carla's secret lab, allowing her to delete anything that could have implicated Ada's involvement with any of the BOW attacks. When she gets inside, she sees someone coming out of a chrysalid, and I think that it's Carla, but Ada says,
We're beyond sympathy at this point. We're beyond humanity. A job, huh? Sure. My schedule just cleared.
so what happens to Ada from there? I don't know yet, but I guess she takes on another job to continue her merc work. But what about Helena and Leon? At the cemetery, she says her goodbye to her sister and turns to accept that Leon and Hunnigan are going to arrest her for her crimes against the nation, for her involvement in killing the president. Plot twist. They basically say, you're good because Simmons had you and your sister at gunpoint. I honestly didn't really care much for Helena's character. Her personality was left to be desired.
All right. Shall we go join the team?
Leon. For the next time you see her.
Women.
In Chris's ending, he's back in the same bar Pierce found him in. He's having a steak and coffee when one of his men come in, talking about their next mission. Captain gets up and the patriotic music starts to flow in as they're gonna go to wherever they're going. But we know that they're in Europe, or Eastern Europe. Now, Sherry. I don't know if or when we're gonna see her again. She's on a plane, staring at Jake's picture. His blood, along with the data that Neo Umbrella gathered on him for 6 months, were given to the UN, and things are looking good now, worldwide. Jake's identity as Wesker's son would be kept as secret. And speaking of him, he texts her, good reception, that he lowered his asking price for his own blood down to $50, and looking out the window, she's actually flying right over him. And damn, I really wished Jake and Sherry stayed together. I would have shipped that relationship. But I guess Jake's gonna do his own thing. I still get Dante vibes from him.
believe we had a deal?
Are you going to keep your promise?
Fair is fair, kid.
Jackpot!
So, did I like Resident Evil 6? Yes and no. Story-wise, I think it was a decent story. Like, I did like the story, I enjoyed it, but playing through it kind of sucked because there was so much filler, and in terms of the gameplay, it didn't really feel like a Resident Evil game at all. It felt more like a Gears of War or Call of Duty game, so that was kind of, eh. And in terms of how they executed the storytelling, the entire narrative, going back and forth, personally, personal preference, I'm just not a fan of it. I wouldn't say that I hate Resident Evil 6, it's just not my favorite. I would probably never play it again though. Luckily I don't have to, because now I have this video, so 20 years from now if I want to rewatch the entire series of Resident Evil, I can just watch my own videos.